Okay, so accept bid to award, repair and replacement, is this the foreign? Yes. I see here that East Lake High School is listed, and my question is, Ed Brand, you and I had spoke probably well over a year ago about the carpet in the theater. Might that be included in this? Because the last time I checked, it wasn't fixed.
I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Oh, sure you will, after the vote, thank you.
Wasn't Calhoun.
Okay, do we have a motion? Motion. Do we have a second? Please vote.
Next item is P1, Mrs. Cheers, Uniform Complaint Procedure.
Yes, I was wondering if the superintendent, is there something that's given to people to watch, like a film or something? If there is, does it, I recommend that they give it to Dr. Graham so that he could stop calling people's employers and stop referring to district employees on the reader. Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have a motion? So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
Next item is a public hearing. Categorical flexibility, we have one speaker, Mrs. Cheers.
You involved in any lawsuits, Kathy?
Will be soon. Yes, good evening. The reason I'm talking about this is because research showed that evidently prior to Nancy Stubbs, there was a lady who worked here who had a high school student who discovered that categorical monies were being misappropriated by Dr. Brandt. The district's response was to lock her out of her office, and I guess she lost her job. She then went to an attorney. The attorney windows were shot out, and he claimed that the only legal case, we won't get that back, John, that the only legal case was that particular issue. So my question to you is, I hope you're watching the categoricals like we're watching the categoricals. Thank you very much.
This is Q1.
Categorical? Categorical.
Okay, close the public hearing.
No, wait.
Motion to approve. Okay, do we have a second?
I have a second, but I do have a comment. I think this is really important as we move towards the LCFF. The public and the board needs to be very aware of the variety of those 60 pots that Dr. Alt has shown, and there was reasons why they started off as categoricals and not just put in the base revenue. So as we move forward, and we know that the governor has already proposed some very specific categoricals or minimal categoricals, we really should make sure that we do keep an eye on this, because some of these areas are very vulnerable, and we may not speak to them often, and some may not have a whole lot of money, but we definitely have to be aware of it. So I'm important to you, Dr. Brandt, that you work with the staff as we look at the LCFF and really make sure that we have monies designed to cover those needs. Thank you. Call the question.
The motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
Item R2, resolution, we have one speaker, Mr. Chair, Matty Adato, on the temporary transfer of funds.
I'll pass, because you guys aren't going to ask any questions about it anyway or answer.
Okay, do we have a motion? So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
We have resolutions R3 through R16. Staff recommends approval, known as bold. R through 16 resolutions.
Motion to approve R3 through R16.
Second.
Mrs. Strada, are there any that I need to recuse on that? Okay. Okay, we have a
Mr.
motion, a
Superintendent,
second.
I think you need to reset the voting.
Sorry.
Okay, call the question. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
We have item R17, pulled by Mrs. Cheers on transfer of funds. And Mrs. Quinones.
Mrs. Cheers?
That's okay.
Okay. Ms. Quinones.
Yes, the reason I pulled it was
Your
because,
microphone, please.
the reason I pulled it was under the analysis, number 5. It says annual resolution requesting temporary transfer of funds between the general fund and other funds. I have a little problem with the other funds because I don't know what the other funds are and I don't want to vote for something and just say it and then afterwards find out that I voted for something. So I'm going to vote.
Dr. Alt, can you address that?
In general, all of these resolutions are rather perfunctory. They give us the authority to be able to use funds and transfer back and forth. We do them every year about this time. This in particular would allow us to borrow from, we use the CFDs for cash flow purposes, and then we pay back the short-term loans. Any funds that are by policy that we aren't allowed to borrow from, we wouldn't borrow from. So I think a specific concern could be expressed for Prop O, but we don't use Prop O and borrow from Prop O, even by virtue of this resolution. By policy, the board doesn't allow that borrowing. So this specifically is to use CFDs to cash flow our general fund until we get our general allocation.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Ms. Rocasa, please vote. The motion passes 3-1. Ms. Quinones, no. Ms. Lopez absent.
F18, we have Mrs. Cheers, who's pulled that item. Also,
F-18?
excuse me, R18, R18.
Are we going to do F1, which is the adoption of minutes?
As soon as we get done.
Thank you, sir. F-18, I have a question. In order to be an AD at a particular high school, do you need to have either a teaching credential or an administrative credential?
No?
You do not.
Right.
So anybody can become an AD at high school.
No.
You're sure about that?
Yeah, I'm positive. I'll be happy to talk to you about it tomorrow if you'd like.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to be sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Second.
Ms. Rocasa, second, please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
Item F1, we do have a speaker, Mr. Chair, Mrs. Cheers. The minutes.
Yes, the way you reported it out for the March meeting, that was the meeting that I stayed late for. It indicates that you all came back. You did not come back. You came back, Mr. Cartmill. Ms. Lopez stood up there, you stood there, and Ms. Quinones, I believe it was you who stood in the doorway. But Ms. Rocasa and Mr. McCann, you did not come back. So I would like for you to hold this and bring it back properly. Thank you very much.
Motion to approve?
Oh.
Second.
Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
The minutes are wrong.
Item F6 we
don't
have
care.
is the next item. We have Ms. Adato as a speaker, followed by Mr. Payne.
F6?
F as in Frank.
Frank, 6? I didn't
Six.
pull, did I? No,
No, it says
sorry.
your name, sorry.
Go ahead, I'll pass to.
Okay, no other item.
Motion to
On
approve.
item F6, we have a motion. Do we have a second? This is the Community College District Agreement.
Second.
Okay, please vote. Ms. Quinones? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Revote.
I didn't see it, I'm sorry.
Did you want to revote? Okay, Mr. McCann, could you revote? Thank you.
Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez, absent.
The next item is G1. We have one speaker, Mr. Payne, Hilltop Middle Sister School.
I just simply wanted to again point out to you that here we are in June, making our way rapidly towards July, and you are approving something that took place in April. And I think we've had this conversation before about more timely submission of items. Thank you.
It was on the agenda for 3 months, just for the record. Item G7.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Picasso? Okay, please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Wilk is absent.
Item H2, CIF, Mrs. Cheers.
Is there a chair for this committee? A chairperson, like the president of a committee, or is it just, does everybody have the same, does somebody lead the committee? That's what I'm asking.
Any other questions that I can answer them all at once?
Yes. How could I find out if the district, me as a taxpayer, is going to be charged for Mr. McCann calling an attorney during the break, if in fact he did so?
Oh, we'll do the public request.
And Ms. Cheers, you don't have to worry, I did not call an attorney, so don't worry about it.
It wasn't a worry. Taxpayers' dollars.
Do we have a vote? Well, first of all, let Mr. Brand, Dr. Brand.
So
Thank you, sir.
the Metropolitan Conference is made up of all the high schools in the district. Each principal and athletic director is part of the CIF. It's an annual thing that's done each and every year. Mr. McLaughlin, who currently serves as the chair of the Metropolitan Conference, is the person who represents us at the Board of Managers on my behalf. Respectfully submit.
So if I had an issue, Mr. Cartmel, would I call, could I only call Mr. McLaughlin, or could I call a principal of a school if I had an issue?
Well, if it was a CIF issue, Mr. McLaughlin.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second, Mr. McCann, please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Wilk is absent.
Tomorrow.
Item J1, Boston Reed Company, Workforce Training, Stuart Payne.
I basically want to know, one, where's the agreement, because it's not attached? And two, how much do the students pay? And three, why did we select Boston Reed as opposed to someone else? Did we solicit bids? How were they selected? That type of thing. And should I make a phone call next week, or do you want to answer now? Thank you.
Ramon, can you answer now, or can you just call them tomorrow?
No, I don't have the information right now, so I would have to get back to him.
You're gonna be busy on the phone tomorrow. Oh, busy day.
Do we have a motion and a second?
Do we need to
So
let
moved.
members know they're voting?
Do we have a second?
They don't know anything. They don't know anything.
Jonas, did you vote?
Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Wilk is absent.
Item K5, various association memberships. We have one speaker, Mr. Payne.
I filled out a form for
I'm almost sure this was last year, maybe 2 years ago, that we whittled this list down to like 3 or 4. I know for a fact we took off the chambers and different things.
No.
We whittled this thing down. It was not $74,000.
That's what it started at.
So what gives folks $74,000 for memberships? And again, a lot of these, I'm sure you guys have read them, a lot of these memberships are mentioned quite often in the grand jury transcripts, and how you guys are supposedly using these to solicit invitations on behalf of this, and solicit contributions on behalf of this or behalf of that. This is a problem. Thank you.
Mr. Cartmel, I did fill out a speaker form for that. I've spoken on it the last 3 years.
K5?
Yes, sir.
We don't have
The last 3 years I've spoken about this. Last year I actually gave you the facts that I had called all the other school districts. When I told them what we were paying for, they told me, not in this district, superintendents of high schools, not any other high school said, not in this district. Do you know what our taxpayers would do? As Mr. Payne stated, Chamber of Commerce are all through the grand jury transcripts. Dr. Brand, I believe you recently, or you claimed one of the lunches was San Ysidro, not a big amount, but we need this money for other things. If you want to belong to these, pay for them out of your own pocket. Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a motion or a second?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay. Please vote.
4-0. Oh, thank you.
Motion passes 3-1. Mr. McCann, no. Ms. Lopez absent.
He just wants to get in here.
Item M3, Mr. Payne on change orders for construction projects.
Just want to point out, Council Park High School H-Design building, first change order takes you all the way to 9.12%, almost to that 10% threshold, which you guys love. Y'all love that 10% neighborhood, don't you? That 9.8, 9.3. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Additional $3,000 to the contractor's bottom.
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
Next item is N1, and I believe Mr. Payne, excuse me, Mrs. Adado, you pulled that one.
Which item? Because
N as
one.
in Nancy,
Hold
1,
on, let me find it.
purchase orders.
Oh, I passed on that one.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll call it after all.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Rakowska, second. Please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
Next item is N3, Nancy 3, designated contracts, Mr. Payne.
Okay, as I read this, it makes me think that there was some sort of inspection done, and you entered into this contract of this road, and sometime after the inspection was done, it was damaged again. And so now we're paying another $36,000 because there's been additional damage. So my first question is, what's the source of the damage? If it was damaged after the initial inspection, how and why and who's responsible? And if it was damaged and just wasn't noticed during the initial inspection, why wasn't it noticed? And then I wanted to also point out that you're in your favorite neighborhood, a 9.9% increase. Thank you.
Tom, can you answer?
This was the annual asphalt contract, and within the scope of the work, we prioritized our work. This was additional work that was done after the first priority work was done at Granger. So the driveway was not done in the initial match. We did get more deferred maintenance money from Dr. Alt this year, so we used it on that high priority project, which was the driveway.
Thank you.
That's all it takes.
So moved.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
All it takes.
Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
No more speakers, however, we still need item L3, which is the qualified teacher authorization submittal.
Okay, did any board members pull that item? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second on item L3? This is regarding
Second.
fully educated. Okay. Please vote. Motion passes, 4-0. Ms. Lopez absent.
Item M5, no one's, do we do that? No. Mr. McCann, hold it, okay.
Yeah, it's a ratification. Oh, sorry.
Ken?
It's a reimbursement for Mr. Marinovich to travel to Sacramento.
No, it's a ratification.
Ratification.
It's already been approved.
Wanted to tell you, Nick, this isn't personal, but I haven't traveled at all since I've been a board member. And essentially, when I've had to travel, I don't use the Sweetwater Union High School District dime. In addition, I wasn't too happy about the first time. I thought it was pretty clear that we were trying to save money for our classrooms and our kids. I'm not inferring that there was any unhonorable behavior or anything like that, but I think it's good policy to not approve this tonight, make sure the money goes back into the general fund.
$74,000 for your chamber crap.
This is a ratification.
This is a
You already
ratification, you
this.
voted on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Oh, yeah, that's what he's saying.
How
Oh,
petty.
Jesus.
I understand, let us deliberate.
The legal fees.
Yes,
Did we vote on this already? Or
Yes.
You wanted a second?
I believe I was absent that meeting, but
In March, and it was 4-1.
4-1.
I was absent.
Members of the board and ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marinovich, as a member of the State Bond Oversight Committee,
Who has?
they have approximately 4 meetings a year. The board did approve one of those. This, I believe, is the second one that's being brought for your consideration. It was on the agenda approximately 2 months ago before the meeting occurred. However, we did not get to it. And at this time, there is no action other than whatever you wish.
Didn't we talk about it? Prior approval? One member, the first time, I don't remember. Did we?
You pulled it, bro.
Did we approve it? We
Mr.
didn't.
Marinovich, please, let us deliberate.
Remember we talked about that? I'm trying to remember what we said.
I'm thinking it was discussed, and I think I may have commented that in terms of the position, the ability to have it as part of the budget that would come, I would assume, from Mr. Calhoun's area, to review that, as that would be something as part of your budget. I think one of the clarifying questions would be, is this something that is required for our CBOC? Is this position a required position for CBOC? Of course. I don't believe so, right? I don't believe so. Okay, so I think that, excuse me,
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
I do think that, Mr. Calhoun, this is something to really look at in terms of, it falls under your purview of what you do in your responsibility, that be included as part of your budget. That's going to be an ongoing expense. And I believe that was the thing, that it was gonna be brought forward just as we brought forward before. I don't know if this was an item that was
What about the
held off on a couple of us.
Didn't we say it should be prior approval, like we do for us?
CSBA,
Right.
we just paid
So it
for
should be
Harley,
prior approval.
and we just paid
And then who approved it?
Nobody approved.
Oh,
No one approved it
That's why
because
it's
it
on
was
the agenda
brought
tonight.
to the board, however, we didn't get to it. So now it's being brought because he went anyhow and is asking for reimbursement. We do not normally operate that way, however, this is an unusual circumstance.
And here's the deal, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, because I can gather from the comments made already how some of my fellow board members feel, but here's where I come from. Whether I disagree or agree with a person that goes for travel for specific events, we oftentimes support parents that go to parent conferences. We oftentimes support many non-employees of the district to represent the district. We've asked our student board member to represent us at state meetings, etc. While I, again, may have a quibble with some CSBA activity where we spend goodness knows how many, apologies to CSBA, because they give
But
good
remember
policy.
the beautiful benefit
I know.
this district and the rest of the state of California does get from that organization, Mr. Gardner.
That's true,
And they pay for
but
her
I still
travel.
grate my teeth sometimes. Not for the policy issues, because I think they have great policy insight, and they are a big help in terms of the district staying in compliance. So, I don't know the phrase goose and gander and that type of thing, but I think we need to be consistent across the board. Whether or not I agree with a certain person or individual should be a secondary consideration regarding how we treat other people when they go to conferences and those type of things. So with that, I'd make a motion.
I will second.
Okay. Any others? Please vote. The motion fails, well, it's 2-2, so it, I believe, fails.
Why didn't they,
74,000 for,
Ma'am, please.
R1,
yeah, that's what I say too.
Please.
Please.
R1
What about
is
Jonathan's
resolutions meeting for approval. Mr. Chair,
Don't unplug me.
I did not
Okay.
respect you. This is
R1.
sickening.
R1, do we have a motion?
It's disgusting.
they did this beforehand?
So
This was
moved.
planned.
Do we have a second?
This was
Serious.
planned. Yes, it was.
Yes,
This was planned.
Please vote.
that's not
Yeah.
how you do business.
Voted for McCann's legal
I'm
fees.
sorry, article tonight.
R1.
Second. Just disgusting.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Let's go with that.
R19 is another resolution.
You could do R19 and 20 together?
Yep. 19 and 20 together, please.
Do all the rest of them.
Okay,
Motion to approve R19 and 20.
we have a motion. And we
I already
second.
have an idea for you.
Embarrassment
help
to the
you.
community.
We're gonna collect from the public for you. No,
Motion passes 4-0.
budget. They have a budget.
Mr. President, we're leading two more items, item G7 and K3. Sorry.
G7,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They have declared fucking war.
G7 is Operation Samahan, which we've been doing for a number of years in the
okay, do we
district.
have a motion?
No,
So moved.
hold it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Did you have a speaker card, sir?
Yeah. 74,000 for the meetings.
Well, I'll just, real quick. Where's the amendment? What is the amendment? The public doesn't have it.
That doesn't matter.
What
Oh,
are you amending?
this isn't San Diego Unified, this is Sweetwater. Where are you?
Call the question. Motion passes 4-0. Ms. Lopez is absent.
What's the other one?
Well, Maddie,
K3?
K3, and I'm leaving the building to recuse myself.
At this point, is there a motion to approve K3?
Donations. Donations to the district.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCann, is there a second? Second by Ms. Quinones. Please vote.
I would, Madam President,
Okay,
Vice
if I
President,
can-
I would revote.
There is
to
a
make sure
motion
it's-
by Mr. McCann, seconded by Ms. Quinones. Please vote.
let it go.
Motion passes 3 in favor, 1 refusal, Mr. Carpel, and 1 absent, Ms. Lopez.
Rita, anything else?
Thank you, Karina. With that, I'm adjourned for
Control.
closed meeting.
Okay.